You know what's strange? Some of the most perceptive, emotionally intelligent people you'll ever meet didn't develop those abilities through books, classrooms, or years of meditation. They developed them because at some point in their lives, they had to. Their nervous system was trained not by choice, but by circumstances that required them to read rooms, predict moods, and think several steps ahead just to feel safe. Psychologists have started calling this traumatic intelligence. And if you've never heard of it before, that's exactly why this video matters. Here's the psychological premise. Trauma doesn't only wound people. In many cases, it also sharpens them. Research in developmental psychology suggests that children who grow up in unpredictable or emotionally complex environments often develop a heightened sensitivity to social cues, emotional patterns, and nonverbal communication. Their brains, specifically the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, are wired early on to detect subtle signals that most people completely miss. The result is a form of intelligence that looks almost invisible from the outside, but runs incredibly deep on the inside. The first sign is that you can read a room before anyone says a word. You walk into a space and something shifts in you, a quiet alertness. You pick up on tension in someone's posture or a micro expression that crosses a person's face for less than a second. This isn't intuition in the mystical sense, it's pattern recognition. Your brain was trained from an early age to scan your environment for emotional data because at some point that scanning kept you safe. The second sign is that you are deeply attuned to other people's needs, sometimes before they are. You notice when someone is struggling, even when they say they're fine. You sense the shift in someone's energy before they've had a chance to process it themselves. Psychologists refer to this as hyperempathy, and it often develops in people who grew up needing to track the emotional states of caregivers or family members closely. You learn to feel others because your environment required it. The third sign is that you are an exceptional problem solver, especially under pressure. When things fall apart around you, something in you goes calm and strategic. You don't freeze, you adapt. This is the nervous system doing something fascinating. Individuals who experienced early adversity often develop what researchers describe as stress inoculation, meaning their brains are better calibrated to manage high-stakes situations because high-stakes situations were simply their normal. You don't panic when the pressure is on. Instead, you step into a calm, organized mode. You assess the situation, identify solutions, and act without hesitation. The stress you experienced growing up prepared you for moments like this. What others may see as overwhelming chaos, you see as a puzzle to be solved. The fourth sign is that you think deeply about human behavior, almost compulsively. You analyze why people do what they do, you replay conversations, you search for the meaning behind actions that others don't even register. This depth of psychological thinking isn't random. It was forged by years of trying to understand the unpredictable behavior of people around you. You became a student of human nature because understanding people felt essential to your well-being. As a result, you've developed the ability to anticipate people's responses or actions before they even happen. You can predict how someone will react in a given situation based on their behavior, mood, and body language. This skill makes you highly adaptable in social settings as you're often one step ahead of others in terms of emotional dynamics. Your ability to read and respond to people has become second nature. The fifth sign. Consider this for a moment. Everything you've heard so far, the perceptiveness, the empathy, the analytical mind, these are not weaknesses dressed up as strengths. They are genuine cognitive and emotional adaptations, and they tell a story about how remarkably responsive the human brain is to experience. You develop this intelligence not out of luxury, but because your environment demanded it. What others might label as too sensitive or overthinking is actually the result of your mind working tirelessly to stay safe, to adapt, and to understand your surroundings better than most. The sixth sign is that you have a highly developed sense of self-reliance. You don't wait for people to rescue you. You build solutions independently and quietly. This self-sufficiency often surprises people who know you, but it makes complete sense developmentally. When the environment in childhood wasn't reliably supportive, the brain learned to internalize resourcefulness. Dependence felt risky, so competence became the default. You may have learned early on that asking for help wasn't always an option, so you had to find your own way. You developed a quiet strength that's not reliant on others' support or validation. While others may look for external guidance or reassurance, you look inward to find solutions, and this quiet independence often gives you a sense of calm amidst chaos. The more challenges you face, the more you thrive in creating your own path. The seventh sign is that you feel things more intensely than the people around you seem to. Music hits differently. Injustice bothers you on a visceral level. A kind gesture from a stranger can genuinely move you. This emotional depth is a hallmark of traumatic intelligence. The amygdala, which processes emotional experience, becomes highly sensitized through repeated emotional activation in life. The result is a person who doesn't just observe the world, they feel it at a frequency most people don't have access to. Your emotional radar is finely tuned, and this deep emotional capacity can often feel like both a gift and a curse. On one hand, you experience the world with a profound intensity, but on the other hand, it can also make you more vulnerable to emotional exhaustion or overwhelm. You carry the weight of the world's injustices, pain, and beauty, often without realizing just how deeply you absorb these feelings. The eighth sign is that you struggle to trust easily, but when you do trust, it's profound. Your threshold for trust is simply higher than average. This isn't cynicism, it's a calibrated response. Cognitive psychologists call this adaptive skepticism. Your brain learned early that not all signals of safety were genuine, so it built filters. And those filters, while sometimes isolating, also mean that the connections you do form tend to be honest, meaningful, and unusually resilient. Once trust is earned, however, you are incredibly loyal and unwavering. Your relationships are built on solid, genuine foundations because you've learned to be cautious in giving your trust. You don't hand out trust easily, but once it's given, it's a bond that is difficult to break. Nobody told you. And that is the strangest part. Some of the most genuinely gifted people walking this earth right now have absolutely no idea that they are. Not because they are being modest, not because they are hiding something, but because the very traits that make them exceptional also make them feel, at times, like something is fundamentally broken inside them. That is the quiet paradox at the heart of giftedness. And today, we are going to unpack it. Not through IQ scores, not through academic achievements, but through the subtle psychological patterns that show up in ordinary, everyday life. Patterns that researchers have studied for decades. Patterns that often go completely unnoticed, even by the people who carry them every single day. So if you have ever felt like your mind works a little differently, like you feel things more deeply than everyone around you seems to, like you are always reaching for something just slightly out of reach, stay with this. Because what you are about to hear might be the first time something finally makes sense. Sign number one is something psychologists call overexcitability. And before you stop me, no, that does not mean you are hyperactive. It does not mean you are anxious. What it means is that your nervous system processes the world with a level of intensity that most people simply do not experience. This concept was developed by Polish psychologist Kazimierz Dabrowski, who spent years studying gifted individuals and noticed something consistent. They do not just experience life, they absorb it. A piece of music does not just sound beautiful to you, it moves through you like something is being unlocked. An idea does not just catch your attention, it takes over your mind for days, sometimes weeks. A conversation does not just pass the time, it stays with you, replays in you, long after the other person has moved on. This is not sensitivity in the weak sense. This is sensitivity in the fully alive sense. And for most gifted people, this intensity has been quietly mistaken for a problem their entire lives, when actually it was always a signal. Sign number two, you ask why, and you always have. As a child, you probably exhausted the adults around you with your questions, not because you were difficult, but because you genuinely could not move forward without understanding the reason behind things, not just the rule, not just the surface answer. And that has never left you. You find it almost impossible to accept information at face value. You need to understand the mechanism underneath, the pattern beneath the pattern, the real explanation, not just the convenient one. Cognitive researchers often describe this as a low tolerance for cognitive closure. But what it actually looks like in a gifted person is the complete opposite of needing a quick answer. You are comfortable, genuinely comfortable, sitting inside an unanswered question for as long as it takes. While most people want the answer so they can move on, you want the full picture, even if it takes years. That is one of the clearest signs of an unusually active mind. Sign number 3.
Yes, no? No? 2:30 in the morning. Steven, if you're gonna go, better? Still no? I'm having a 2. Okay, so TikTok's not wanting to work. So TikTok's not gonna hear me. It's my stinking computer. I know it is. So I can hear myself on TikTok. It went out again. Okay. Give me a second. I'm trying to make sure that I can do this both and still say somewhat commu All right, we're just staying on this one. And if TikTok doesn't work, then TikTok doesn't work. All they're staring at is my face. Yay. Nope, now it's working on YouTube. Now it's working everywhere. You can hear me? They can hear me? Okay, so back to what I was saying to Deviant. Go. It's great. It's fun. It's like an adult playground. I think the only thing that I don't like about the fact that I'm on here is that there's no filter covering up my face. People on TikTok don't know what I look like, which is fine, I guess. Once I update everything, it'll be different. Hi, Chair. I wasn't planning to do this, or I would have told you guys. But the first two videos, the first video is what I want to talk about, which is traumatic intelligence and how sorry, I'm playing in my own ears and I don't like it. So give me a second to turn that off. Because it's enough of a delay that it's not okay. And of course I can't. I don't know how to turn this off because I'm where I'm at. Okay, it doesn't matter. Whatever. So the first video is about trauma. I have to take these out. Trauma intelligence. So like you are, I'm autistic and I'm being forced to talk and I don't know how to do that safely. So I chose to do it when singing. You're so sweet. Chair over here telling everybody to, I forget that they can see the chat. So I'm sorry if I feel like I'm ignoring you guys. Because I have it up bigger too, because I can barely see it on the screen. I should probably have these on. But the traumatic intelligence, I've been watching a lot of those videos actually. They are putting terms and words into layman's, which is helping me explain it to other people. But as an autistic person who didn't talk until they were older, I didn't obviously know how to explain my emotions. So processing trauma. And again, like you're talking about overly being bullied because I don't talk, but I'll sing. So I'm constantly like humming to myself so I'd get in trouble. Talking about like schoolyard, like not just bullied by kids for being weird, but like bullied by teachers for being like good for a certain amount of time and then get overstimulated and then not be a good kid. So like all this is traumatized. All this is triggering because, my kids are in public school and they're having to deal with their own issues. And a lot of things have come up lately that are now just, being said out loud. That my kids are able to communicate that. Before, the level of fear of getting in trouble was pretty heightened all the time. Having to explain to my kids like what happened, what's going on at our house, and they're like nothing. And I go, before it was like they were fearful, like they were like, I can't tell anyone about what goes on at this house because their other parent chose to use those same words while crime and not okay things were happening. So having to tell my kids like we have to clean the house before people come over. We're not, I'm not screaming at them to hurry up and clean the house because someone's going to show up in 20 minutes. No, things are planned now. Things are, my life is safe. I feel safe. Obviously, I feel safe enough to be home all the time. But the issue that I have with my traumatic intelligence is that I'm constantly being bombarded by people who lack the common sense to like think before they talk, like the whole, I'm sure you guys understand what I mean. And again, that's me projecting. I'm just because I'm willing and able to say, "Hey, that was wrong. I shouldn't have said that," or "Hey, I did this wrong." You know, just because like my high injustice is where it's at with my, like I said, with my traumatic intelligence, just because I see it happening or I see it coming or I feel it coming. Like what I took from that video was not necessarily my trauma, but how I process. Like I process music because it goes physically through me. Totally was like, yes, right. And then you add the giftedness of not knowing how to put 3 words together and I mean, like, in English to pronunciate words so that someone else can understand me. I mean, I'm still to this day feel like English was my second language, because, I still don't understand pronunciations. When I was helping someone today, while I was busking, I was explaining to them, like, when you're singing, you don't have to pronunciate. She's like, well, that's what my singing coach is working on. It's like pronunciating. And I said, yes, but it's a different type of pronunciation. So it's not in the classic term, I'm going to insinuate each letter to make the sound. It's making the word sound like the word without actually using your tongue to direct airflow, because as a singer, you don't want to stop airflow to pronounce a T. Um, and again, my giftedness brain just assumed everyone knew that. So this teaching them, helping them stand and just feel confident in their own shoulders to not be all hunched over and hidden, it was a huge thing for me. It's still something I do to this day. I will get nervous and I will get worried about what someone might think of me and the way that I'm singing, that I will belittle myself and still be able to sing the same as if, well, in my brain, as the same as if I was standing up and being confident. Um, as a traumatic intellectual person, I was picked on and nitpicked because I would point things out about people to ask the why. Like, that's the other part of the gifted, that if we would have kept going with the video, is that I'm constantly asking why. And it's, again, I will sit, and it was that second number where it says I will sit in an unanswered question and ponder. Before, as a people pleaser, I would ponder that they were having a bad day. And I mean, knowing the little that I knew of them or everything that I knew of them, I could minimize my hyper vigilance. Now I can do that because I'm in the safety of my own home. I don't feel like when I'm in public, I have the safety to be my authentic self. Um, Example, karaoke and just singing, and I'm in a loud space where I know I'm allowed to be loud, so I'm singing loud, like, to the point where I was told at one point that people could hear me on stage singing in the back, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He was like, "No, like, I loved it." He's like, "I could hear you harmonizing with me. That was awesome." And, you don't always get negative feedback when you're in public, but sorry. Um, I feel, like I'm singing and I'm like, "Man, these I mean, I'm 43 years old. I'm sitting in a bar full of mainly people my age. Um, at least 33 to 53, in that sense, singing, music and stuff. And some of them might be younger than me, again, 33 to 43 is 10-year difference. But it was just awkward to me that the 20 something year olds were singing every song that literally came out when I was a teenager. I was like, this is just like nostalgic. It's weird. And of course there's songs that are mainly sung in karaoke by just about every something 20-year-old almost every year. So like new batch of 20-year-olds, same songs. New batch of 20-year-olds, same songs. New batch, so it's tiresome. Um I've willfully refused to step up and be a KJ because I know I don't have the patience for listening to the same song 13 times in one night. Um and I don't have it in me to be mean. Like it's just okay, I'll let you sing it. I get paid whether you sing it or not. Right? Like, but again, that's my compartmentalizing professional life. And I'm on TikTok right now and on YouTube, and I want my followers to dabble in all, or you know what I mean, some, just whatever floats your boat. But I definitely want to give homage to the fact that I started all of this on YouTube. I started feeling comfortable on YouTube. Obviously all of you are here and have been for a while, um, consistent or not, me consistent or not, take that out of the equation. I think it's hard for me to correspond. I'm telling you, I sing to Cody every time he sings, Steven. Every time he does his lives. Like I was watching Mark's live right now and I went, ooh, Cody did his singing live the other day. I need to watch it. Because I do. I sing. And then he gives me song ideas. Like I even added Toxicity from System of a Down to my song list. Because I was like, I love that song, but I don't know if like I could pull it off. Because of my perfectionist brain. And I was like, you know what? Cody would say, do it. So I think I'm gonna do it. But back to, like I said, the traumatized intelligence. So it's really hard to not want to overly do that, I guess, for people. But at the same time, it's like half the time I want to do that for myself, that people pleasing thing that I've been trying to stop doing. And because I know I'm a genuinely nice person, I don't need to people please to keep them around. Um, it's a proven fact within 3 seconds, whether or not you want to waste your time speaking to the person in front of you. But it could take up to 17 different instances, 17 different experiences to choose a habit. A habit is everything from, rugs, because we're on the clocky clock. I can't say all the words. But, the D star G stuff can be just as addicting as the people pleasing, and it can be just as deteriorating to your body, hence the first video about the nervous system. My nervous system has been running beside me my whole life, like Peter Pan shadow. I've not ever been able to control my nervous system. SOED. Yes, that's one of them. Yeah. I'm sorry. I knew what you were talking about. Poor Salty. He's like, huh? Acronyms are hard for us because there are so many words that could fit in there and make sense. Have you ever played that acronym game where you're trying to figure out what the heck they're trying to say and you're like, that is not what I was thinking. That's me. But like I don't like when it comes to friendships, like there are people who have been in and out of my life for decades. I do not talk to them every day like I used to talk to them every day. I don't expect them to talk to me every day like they used to talk to me every day. Because we grow up, we gain support systems, and then we touch base, and then we keep going and we touch base. It is the typical mindset of a 3 to 5-year-old. When they go out and they're away from their parent, they turn around, they look, they double check, they will come and touch, they will physically touch, children will you will constantly come back or want to come back to those things that you feel quote unquote safe. Now, the traumatic intelligence talks about how the parents or the caregivers or the supports family are what are supposed to teach us about what safety. So if you, like me, feel like you're constantly out of a safe environment, which I just recently did a bunch of research and realized that my eustachius tube issues is based on the fact that I'm missing a bone the bone either was broken at a young age would make sense because I used to get traumatized on the side of my head a lot. Um, so it makes sense that at a young age I may or may not have had that bone broken or that bone never grew. And basically, I can hear everything that goes on inside my body. I can hear my gut moving. I used to be able to hear my blood, but that white noise sound of a heartbeat from the inside of your head is the creepiest thing ever. I I feel like I feel like I hear like I'm constantly fearful of what I hear, but if you are within my silence bubble, which is where my hands can reach you, I don't hear you as well as I can talking loud as if you were whispering. You could whisper from the other side of the room and I will hear it. I will pay attention to that because whispering is not normal, not in our household, not when I was growing up. If somebody was whispering, they were doing something they weren't supposed to do. And, in my brain that stuck. So I tell the kids all the time, like, if you want to whisper, go in your rooms because I could still hear what you're saying. And so your whispering is not doing what you think it's doing. Like, you need to go into a whole nother room and whisper. And then you won't even need to feel like you need to whisper. You can have a full conversation and talk. Uh, my issue is that because family has always come and gone, that safety feeling has always come and gone or was taken away from me. I grew up at a very young age not having the same inclusive feelings that people around me felt to be social, to be accepted, I guess is the words. I don't know the words. I'm not neurotypical. It's hard for me to use words for others to like express it. But I'm sure that like having social dynamics and having like competition in that sense, or having like you see something someone else has and you want it. So you're either overly nice to that person or you're not nice to them at all. Like if somebody was doing something I didn't like, I just didn't go around them when they were doing that. Like in my brain, that made sense. Like that doesn't make me feel safe. I'm gonna go over here now. But I was a wallflower, so I spent a lot of time. See, I feel like I feel like I'm as honest of a person online that I am in person. Right, right. And the fact that you know that, like, I used to sit in the whole, like, the idea that, like, if somebody were an a-hole, but they were honest about being an a-hole, and technically they were only an a-hole to other a-holes, it made sense to me that they were a quote unquote good person. Right. So because of that ocular noise, everything around me felt like the truck could be 500 yards away, but it felt like it was 5 feet away because the horn was loud no matter where it was. So if you think about that, like you're on the freeway and I have really bad issues with spatial awareness because of my ear hearing, because you could be screaming right here and you could be screaming within an arm length away from me and it sounds all the same to me. I thought for a long time that I had like auditory dyslexia. I assumed that's what it was. Like I hear words different. Well, really, what it is that I'm hearing words in between me swallowing, me, my neck cracking. Like the sound of my neck cracking. I tell people all the time, it sounds like an ice pack. Like you have an ice tray and you crack the ice tray. That's what the back of my neck sounds like. So imagine somebody talking to me, talking to you, and then you go like to stretch, and all of a sudden your neck cracks. You're not going to hear what that person is saying. So I go, wait, what? And then they're like, oh, you're not paying attention to me because you're not looking at me. And I'm like, I don't need eye contact to listen to you. I actually do better without staring at you. If you actually want me to listen to you, let me shut my eyes. Like I'm not kidding. Sometimes people go, why? I said because I can drown out the noise. Like right now, I can hear the fan in my kids' room, the fan in my bedroom, the fan in the dining room, and each one of them are within 3 arms lengths away from my body. But that's all I can hear is white noise. And it's like deafeningly silent. That makes any sense. But it means that I will hyperfocus. So I will get into a space. Like music doesn't make me like want to clean my room, but singing makes me want to clean my room. Does that make sense? Like I'm feeling the music compared to I'm just listening. I love you, Demon. I hate eye contact. Um, I tell people all the time, when people like, hi Shaggy. Oh, he came again. But no, when I have to deal with like, I don't know how to explain it. Like having trauma is one thing, right? Being autistic's a whole nother thing. But my giftedness and the traumatic intelligence that heightened that giftedness, like I feel like it was like it's like a energy drink to regular giftedness because it was all survival. Like if I sang at church, if I went to church on Saturday or whatever day that was not a normal church day, but it was warm up and was singing. Like in my brain as a kid, it was like, oh, we're going to sing and then we're going to go eat. So singing equated to eating sometimes. I didn't know we were homeless or not homeless, but I didn't know that we had food insecurity. And that's the reason why, we only ever eat chicken and rice. I just thought my mom's on a diet, my dad's bad cholesterol and diabetes or whatever his health issue at the time was. I can't, I don't get to go sing, therefore I don't eat. So I had a lot of like eating disorders as a kid. Like if I couldn't sing, if I was so depressed that I was like, I don't want to sing, like hormonally depressed because my body, again, like PCOS type thing, like my body was not doing hormonally what it was supposed to be doing. And again, because I have high testosterone in my system, and so my body was basically fist fighting itself. Um, I could also ignore like the pain because again, the nervous system is so shot. See, I don't know if I could handle listening to my sternum crack like that. I have a popping sensation where my duodenum is, but they tell me that that's different. I have to turn my camera off to hit my vape, so I don't want to get in trouble on the Tiki Talk. The giftedness, I think, is what really caused the majority of the issues as a kid. I felt like I forgot I could just do that, guys. I felt like just because I could read a book at 6 years old that I should definitely not have been reading, but I couldn't tie my shoes. Like I couldn't tie my shoes till I was 11. I refused to wear shoes that my foster mom couldn't tie on my feet where I could slide them on and off. If I had to untie my shoe, I would throw it away. I would seriously walk home in no shoes because my shoe came untied and I couldn't tie it and the kids were laughing at me and picking on me. So I would take my shoes off and I would chuck them in the classroom. And this is at 10 years old. I couldn't tie my shoe. And being able to tell someone, right, you're supposed to pull them is what they keep telling me. But you're making me want to do it too. That's so Tourette's. Having all of these things that are wrong with me, and again, doing all of this stupid research over 6 years through the NIH and through, Psychology Today, like doing all this actual research from doctors all over, the world, and then having sometimes have a problem in poker where I think people are staring at me, and I don't get that feeling too often these days. Oh, Stalzy, I do it all the time. Like, that's why I hide in the bushes and the trees when I'm singing. Like, I finally moved out from under the trees and bushes today, and a lot more people actually saw us, but I wasn't singing. It wasn't just me singing the whole time. I had, I'm kind of mentoring somebody right now who is working on wanting to do their own. So I have so much, I have actually cracking your knuckles is a sign of Tourette's. It's a stem. Ooh, Stolzy. That's your sleeping habits. You must have been leaning on your chin too much or something. Because the reason I found out that from my tics and everything and talking to the ortho doctor, the reason why my joints are all messed up and I have arthritis already as it is, psoriatic arthritis and everything since I was 15, but it's because of popping them the wrong way. Like if you yank on your knuckles, like it's a pop, but yeah, it's a total stem. It's a it's a it's a it's a tick. And then again, if you do more, it's everything from like vocal tics, so like clearing your throat, you know, it's almost Tourette's. I've found it more and more and more that my Tourette's is linked to my OCD. So a lot of what I do is compulsive, but it's because of like the I guess it's like suppression. So a lot of people don't realize that they suppress. Yeah, no, like I said, I don't know how I'd feel about that. Like I have a messed up rib and just knowing that. See, that's probably what it is, Tony. You probably like balled up your pillow a certain way. But yeah, no, like the cracking that I do, like the joint cracking that I do, they tell me that just like pulling on your joints, like inversion board. I need one so bad. But because of my nervous system, like I said, being my freaking shadow and me constantly trying to wrangle my shadow, I'm my nervous system gets there first. So you can imagine all of the heightened senses, all of the hypervigilance, all of that is already there. The rest of my ADHD brain over here and body is slowly going to catch up. So I don't always notice bad, quote unquote, bad behavior because, again, I'm an adult. You're an adult. Your bad behavior is your bad behavior. It's not my position to like point out that bad behavior. So I don't like, but at the same time, like I can understand that neurotypical people or sorry, that there are some neurodivergent people that need consistency. And without said consistency, they themselves have issue with their own nervous system. I feel like most, if not every stinking adult, autistic, self-diagnosed or diagnosed person, but as a physical adult, understands we have attachment issues. Like we either don't know how to attach or we over attach or we have like the giftedness difficulty or I'm sorry, traumatic intelligence. We have difficulty attaching because of our safety. We feel overtly safe in someone because we share rank share. See, Stolzy, and okay, so my whole I love your face thing, it comes from the whole meaning of that. And again, 22.5K people using that hashtag on TikTok makes me really proud of myself because again, there's a whole story behind it. And I don't think that anybody really knows. I'm gonna actually look online to see if the love your face thing came up prior to me starting to say it. But I stated it to one person who said, "My friend told me this," and I thought that was the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I feel the same way. When I say I love your face, I mean I love you and your face. Your face is the only face that's ever going to be your face, and I love it because it's you. It's the only you that you'll ever be. You decide to cut all your hair, change your eye color, you know, put makeup on and or cosplay and be a certain other person the next day, great. Your face is still going to be underneath all that. Your face is who you are to me. So when I say that I love your face, I mean I love every ounce of who you are from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Because if we have flaws and we recognize those flaws and we understand that those flaws make us who we are, good, bad, or indifferent. And because of that traumatized intelligence and understanding that people only know my experiences because I tell them. People can't live my experience for me. I've already lived it. It's already been there. You can have a variation of that lived experience. It's just not going to be mine. So when I say that I love your face, it means that I love who you are and anything and everything that you had to go through to be the face that you are that I'm seeing. I used to look at people's faces and see a future in a sense, like see their dreams and aspirations like out loud for them, and they didn't have them, they didn't reach them, and those connections were lost. I mourn those connections. I mourn people from the past. I mourn the relationships that I had with people before I realized that what they were wearing the whole time was a mask. It wasn't truly who they were. And now I have to take 2 steps back and reevaluate the relationships that I have with those people. That said, when I disappear, but I was surprised how comfortable I was when filming a review with G for the first time last year, and today's filming went well as well. Oh yeah, I'm glad you guys got to hang out today. I totally forgot you were going. I thought it was next week though. I don't know why. It is well, technically it is May, Austin. Um, I think, like I said, Salty, I think it's easy for us to base people on who they are, especially at face value. And again, when you meet somebody face to face, it's a different experience. You will test a friendship, like a long gone friendship, the first time you meet, because the first time you meet, it's gonna feel like I've known you forever and I have so much to share with you at the same exact time. That's where I get that overwhelming feeling of what are the last 5 years of promises I've made to you, and I want to keep them. And again, that's just me being like, I guess my one of my love languages is gift giving, but it's not. In my brain, it's I made a promise and I keep it. Sometimes hate being on camera. Chair, I hope you go on live again. Me and Chair were talking about doing some of his book work on his chat, on his live chat. I told him that one. I think that would be fun. I think that it would be uh helpful getting things out and the reels, if that makes sense. Uh, I back to what I was saying though is the traumatic intelligence is hard because I don't always want to be in my safe zone, like feeling like I can't be completely open and honest and communicative. Oh no. Oh Lee, you're funny. I don't know. I don't like this. You would think that Restream would be showing me all the chats, but apparently it doesn't show me. I don't like that. Sorry. Did you come back in, Lee? Oh, you are in here. Are you in here? You're not in here. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. I'm sorry. I'm live through Restream. Lee says he ate so much chicken and rice as a kid. He shite feathers and grain. Lee's a fellow singer over on TikTok. I'm sorry, I'm live through Restream, and I'm just glad audio is working. I need to figure out how to get TikTok to talk out loud. That would make it helpful for everybody, because then you guys would hear it talk in the background. I'm gonna have to pick Mark's brain. Y'all know I'm going to. I'm just glad, again, you guys should see it. There's the intro, there's the welcome, there's the main podcast, there's a panel view, there's a question and answer view, and then there's my countdown. I have everything set up on this website that I thought was Streamlabs. And the whole time I was freaking out, like, where's all this stuff on Restream? Why isn't it working? Or on Streamlabs, and I'm saying Restream the whole time I'm saying it, thinking of Streamlabs, and then I would go open Streamlabs and go, it's not there. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. I should be good, even apart from the fact we forgot to turn the microphone on. Oh, goodness. I don't know, though. That microphone I have is apparently way screaming loud, and there is no way for me to turn it down. There are no settings, no way that I can open that audio box. You would be a great reviewer, Deviant. Oh, no, Salty. Thanks. But G placed part of the video earlier on, and it sounded okay, which is good. That's good. It is very good. I think all of us having audio issues just proves that every bit of this stuff comes out of our own pockets, and we don't have a production company that is doing this for us. That's all I got to say about that. I'm glad to not be the only one trying to do all my stuff, and oh goodness, oh sorry, end up still confused or something not working. And again, the only reason that everything wasn't working is because for some reason I have a list of 4 microphones to use, and every one of them are the same thing. So it sounds really funny. I'm like, well, looking at my list, the one thing that I'm using now is the one thing that's not on the list. So there's 3 of one and 1 of itself. So that is the one I'm using now, and thank goodness that it's working. But yeah, I think right now I'm having what you would call through astronomy, or through like my tarot cards and things like that. Like this is the reform. So like there's rebirth. There's 2 differences: rebirth and reform. So rebirth is completely different person. Like you are 100% personality change, down to the way you dress, the way you communicate, you take etiquette classes, things like that. That's a rebirth. A reform is taking inventory and, like, I guess taking inventory and prioritizing the things that should matter to you that don't, and then unprioritizing things to fit those needs, if that makes sense. So with this reform, obviously is going to come some people who look at whatever beliefs or understandings that I have, and they find themselves aren't prioritized. That I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you feel like you're not prioritized, but in the same moment, 150 people in your life. That's how many people you'll get to know on a level enough where they will influence your life, influence your choices, your morals, your values, your ethics. 150 people throughout your lifetime. Not 150 people a year, not 150 people every 5 years, 150 people throughout your life. I can guarantee you my numbers are in the double digits already. That many people have influenced my life, positive or negative, have influenced my life. They are somehow branded into my brain. So I'm already half my life. I have a whole other half of my life to meet these people who are going to influence me, who are going to challenge me to, again, reform the way that I choose to live my life. That being said, there's going to be people who come and go as needed. But here's the kicker. I am completely stuck. Again, second video. I am completely stuck in a unanswered question. And I've been placed in this space of unanswered question by a group of other neurodivergent people. So I feel, of course, the very first thing I feel is, oh, it's ableism, meaning they are seeing the mimicry or they're seeing something in me that, again, is challenging them. Obviously, them, because if it was challenging me, I would have seen it, right? I would have been acknowledged, hey, I'm not sure I feel this way. I feel good about this. I've said this for years. Not everyone is going to be friends with everybody. But that doesn't mean you take your ball home. Take your ball and say, no, I'm not playing. I tell my kids all the time, like, they worry about, I don't have friends. And I was like, no, you have friends. You just don't see them. So you feel like you don't have friends. And my kids are like, yeah, that's true. So nowadays, they can video chat with their friends and their cousins and stuff that don't live near us anymore. And that's self-soothing enough, but they want actual interaction and they want to go, experience, especially my middle child wants to go experience the lavish life that they get to live when they go hang out with their cousins and stuff, because they run off like they're an only child and they get to go have all these fun experiences and go do all this fun stuff, which for teenagers these days is just laying around. Or, they want to experience these things, but they've been in a safe space and a sheltered safe space, where they're therapy once a week and, they have a big, large support system. And it's scary for me to basically how I feel as their mother, mama bear and all, feel like I'm sending them to the wolves, and I don't want them to have traumatic intelligence. They do, but I don't want them to have any more. Does that make sense? Like, if I'm struggling, it's one thing, I'm their mom, because they're going to learn from my mistakes, right? They're going to see things, right? And there are plenty of times where, again, traumatic intelligence, my kids don't always trust the people that I say are my friends. It takes them a bit of time, but they know about you guys because I talk about you guys all the time. So when I say, Stalzy or Deviant or G or Cody or Mark, they know who I'm talking about. When I say the F word guy, they also know who I'm talking about. But it's they, and I had a friend who I met on TikTok freaking 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And we talk at least once a week, if not, 4 or 5 times a month. If it's not all in the 1 week, it could be 4 or 5 days in a row and then not again for 3 weeks. Life happens. I do spend quite a bit of time with her on TikTok, so I do see her there. But again, it's a business, so it's professional. So it's not necessarily like what's going on in the world, my world. Those are, confident conversations that we have, like when you guys are sitting with us on the panel and everything, and the live ends, and then I'm like, okay, now I can tell you guys all about what's really been going on, because I didn't want to talk about it before because I don't want my brain to keep wanting to go back to it, right? So, like in those instances, and I know that when I got really sick and my brain fog kicked in, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I thought I was interacting the way that I was supposed to, and come to find out, no, apparently I was not supposed to. I was not supposed to be interacting with people that way. It wasn't quote unquote acceptable. And again, now I've been ghosted. I'm probably not as bothered about it as I should be. But at the same time, I want to know why. Not that I was ghosted, but why was I drawn to them in the first place, so that can go on the list of, hey, might want to double check and make sure that these people are here for the long run, because I'm running out of patience for making new friends. And I'm been honest about that my whole life. I don't I people would tell me, I don't want to play with you. And I'd go, okay. And I'd turn around and play by myself. And then they would be like, why aren't you leaving? And I'm like, because I was here first. I can get out of your space, but I'm just gonna turn around. Like, I'm not gonna get up and leave just because of you. You know, that was my mentality as a child. Now, skip ahead 20 years, and as a 20-year-old, I became agoraphobic because it didn't matter where I went. I constantly felt like no one wanted me there. And then people started making it very clear they didn't want me there. So I just stopped leaving my house, and I started venturing out in life and doing other things while everybody else was sitting around doing whatever they thought, having fun or doing whatever they were doing. When I wasn't around, they just assumed I was sitting at home being miserable because that's what they wanted out of me. Now, a lot of those people are going to shortly find out exactly what I was doing out and about running around, and that I wasn't the miserable 14-year-old or miserable 16-year-old or miserable 19-year-old or miserable 21-year-old or miserable 25-year-old or miserable. Like, there are all these instances in my life where I was like, okay, and like kept going. Like, that's the part of the giftedness. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that I can be perfectly fine in my isolation. I know what my brain is capable of. I know that I can pick up a hyper focus. I can pick up a subject. I can learn about it until I'm blue in the face and then move on to a new subject. I learned very young that as a lifelong learner, I could do this for the rest of my life. I am no longer wanting to put myself. Hi, Lee. I see that you're back. I do apologize for missing you earlier. Lee agrees with us, guys. I'm over on YouTube. If you want to pop over there on my YouTube, there's 4 people watching my YouTube panel friends over there. But I get caught up in I guess the excitement or the fun, and then again, people assume that I'm being fake or I'm not being honest, and I'm like, oh, is something serious happening right now? I totally missed that. Oh wait, I totally am like in my own world right now, and I totally missed the social cue that happened and caused me to be like, oh, never mind. I guess I'll just sit over here and be quiet, And again, you add the giftedness of the fact that I've been singing longer than I've been talking, and if I can sit and talk and have an intelligent conversation, then yes, I can sing just about anything. And I proved that today. It was very weird. I sang 9 to 5, y'all, by Dolly Parton. Would I think to sing that song? No. Do I know every word? Sure do. How many times I've seen that movie? like somebody asked me the other day, well, what about this song? And I was like, every song I sing is from a movie. And they're like, what? I could tell you what soundtrack it is. I could tell you from the very first soundtrack that I heard it on. I'm here like, what? I was like, when I watch movies, I don't necessarily watch the movie the first thing around. I listen to the music. I focus on oh, Lee's coming over. I focus on the ambiance, and then I will rewatch it and actually be like, oh, I didn't even know this part of the movie happened, because what was I doing? I must have been doing this or that. So it's then you get left into that space, and then you have again, I choose to be a wallflower. I'm okay with that. I have a feeling that it's gonna be I have a feeling that it's gonna be something that he's already talked about, and I'm gonna be like, ooh, yay. That's what I have a feeling about. And I love the vlog style. I totally love it. I mean, I love the live panel stuff, and I love the sit down, where he's sitting and he does them in the room and everything. But I love the vlog style stuff. I really do. I love like walking around, showing me what is it like? I guess it's as rewarding as like sitting down and watching him eat the thing. It's like, all right, now I see what you have to go through to go and do what it is that you're doing. Like, I definitely do. I like that part about the POV too. But again, I'm just a. I laugh. People are like, "You're a content creator." I'm like, I'm a content consumer that can help you create content. Does that make sense? Like, I know enough about demographics and I know enough about like just messing with stuff, like taking apart telephones as a kid because the dinger was too loud, and I figured out how to turn them down. And my foster mom like loved me for it because we had probably the loudest telephones in the whole building. Sorry, in our house because we lived in an old office building. Ooh, I'm so excited. I'm excited, Stolte. That sounds amazing. Like, I can only imagine, like, the smell inside that place was probably just mwah. But I'm a steak and potatoes kind of gal, so I love me a rib house. Love me a barbecue anything. But yeah, no, I definitely feel like I'm at the age where I want to make real connections, but again, I feel like relationships are fleeting. Like, I feel like even if I wanted to, I don't think I could force someone to be my friend. Like, I felt like I forced them to be my friend when I was like a teenager, if that makes sense. Like, I literally would say hello to my neighbor until they would let me pull the weeds in their yard. Like, hi, how are you today? Yeah, I'm doing some yard work. If you need any help, let me know. Because the weeds in their yard was driving me nuts. And I wanted to pull them out. But I didn't want to get yelled at for being in their yard. I'm pulling their leaves, pulling their weeds, knowing that if I pull their weeds, then the same weed that keeps popping up in my yard will go away because the weed is coming from their yard and it's going across to the other person's yard. And like, and just because I would get influenced, I can't have conversations because of people's lack of knowledge on etymology and intelligence. And I'm very bluntly honest. I get frustrated from explaining what I mean when I say things. Yes. Hey guys, that's Lee. Click on you, see if it'll let me sub you. It won't. Oh, but we're going to pop it up. Oh, the apology on town. I love that. I love that. Sorry. I had to share it because I literally just said that to my friend. It is very hard for me to do the small talky. Oh, see, I will have to get their ribs next time. They sound good. I'm telling you. I'm not supposed to eat that stuff anymore, but I will like go on a rant about that. Um but yeah, I was just having this conversation with my friend. Like, I'm all good for small talk when it comes to professionalism, but I like to have in-depth conversations. I like to listen to people talk about their hyperfocuses. I want you to teach me something that I don't know. Yes, 100%. Let's go. That's these guys met me because of that. I wanted to learn more about doing panels on YouTube. That's how the four other people in the chat know me because I hyper focused on learning how to go on panels for YouTube. And that knowledge is probably the only reason I started going on the clock app as much as I did in 2019 or 20 from 2021, because I think it took me almost 2 years to actually be like, okay, I can do this instead of just posting videos of me singing or popping into someone else's live. But it took me quite a bit of time to be like, okay, fine, I want to do this. And it was not just, well, I mean, it was a fad at the point, and I really wasn't interested in jumping in on the fad because algorithm wise, when it comes to a fad, it exponentially goes down. So the update was just a few months ago. We'll have another update. by August. We'll have another update after that by October, November, and then there'll be another update by January, February. Like, there are going to be constant changes because that's how marketing and demographics work. Right now, there are a bunch of people singing all over karaoke, and we're not talking. There's the politics side of TikTok. There's the Netflix, whatever's on Netflix this week, part of TikTok. There's therapy talk. There's like spiritual talk. There's all these different avenues of TikTok. Yet there's the same different amount of avenues over here on YouTube. And, y'all see that YouTube's been around for so long, and YouTube doesn't seem to be going anywhere, because anyone and everyone I know that has a DIY project is on YouTube. See, Stalzy, you're making me want to go make food. I'm so mad. He like drug my pizza off. My main knowledge is biblically based, so I can't converse with many. It always becomes a debate. Lee, I studied religion because somebody told me, it was an atheist, told me that he knows everything there is about the Bible because his dad studied the Bible, and because he knows everything about the Bible, he can it's not just debate, but scientifically. Sorry, we're talking like I was 12 or 13 years old, and I went, "Oh, that's crazy." And he goes, "What's crazy?" I said, "I learned Arabic so I could read the original actual Rosetta Stone, like the stone that has Arabic on it, that's supposed to be the very first copy of the Bible." And he goes, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Because that's the very first Bible written. Why wouldn't I want to read it in its natural form?" "Oh, so you learned Arabic?" I said, "Yeah, for about 6 months." Learned enough to be able to read it and distinguish what I was reading, and go from there and search every, at the time it was like 112 of the highest ranked, top ranked, most involved, like demographic linked to being Hawaiian or being indigenous, like in the sense of colonization and how religion was used to communicate things in other regions of the world outside of the United States. And I studied all those, and just to see any commonalities. And I found that, the three main things are don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. And I went from there to what is the quote? Like, don't lie or whatever. But seriously, like, don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. To me, if you don't lie on yourself, you don't lie on somebody else. Like, you speak your truth. You don't cheat me out of my time. You don't cheat someone else, don't take more than you give, in that sense. These are all morals and values that I based on as a 13-year-old kid wanting to grow up to be a youth pastor one day, because my dad was a youth pastor and my grandpa was a pastor. And so I studied the Bible a lot. My sister Erin she has a master's in theological. So my sister has the same understandings of the Bible as you are, and we talk about it all the time. We have great discussions about it all the time, because again, it's what she went to college for Christianity alone and the Bible alone, and talking about other religions. And again, to me, it's not so much a debate. It's you put an Orthodox person of any religion in the room, and the whole, from beginning to end, is supposed to be as peaceful, debate. But of course you can't when it comes to faith-based anything. And I mean, I'm OCD. I have faith that one day I don't have to do double check before I lay down, that I can lay in my bed that liar. No one knows. Everything is always changing depending on the season you're in, at the space of time you're in life. Right. So that's the funny part that me and my sister were talking about. Was that, again, orthodox or not, you could have a life changing experience, and your whole understanding of the way you were raised or the way you were brought up could be changed. I think me and my sisters, um, the one that we get stuck on is um, the understanding between ethical religion and chosen, and a lot of people don't understand that as well. And then, of course, you have to go into further into sex, right? Because you go from mainline religion, you know, mainland, mainline, whatever you want to call that, religion, to talking about sex, which are just split from their original basis. So yeah, me and my sister talking about like there's 4,000. I'm like, I'm gonna wake up every day for the next 10 years and study a different religion every day, and you would still have to start over after 10 years and do it again. So yeah, you are right. I I didn't necessarily want to know where religion came from. I just wanted to understand cultures, and I think that that's where it kind of delved into, because I didn't understand being Hawaiian. Like, I know that might sound awkward to anyone who's not Hawaiian, but I didn't understand being Hawaiian because I was born and raised in the United States, like the mainland. Not necessarily. I spent enough time in Hawaii to see the slumlords or the ghetto, the part of Hawaii that no one sees in commercials. And having been, like I said, gifted in a sense of, like, I remember chickens being on the airplane, and my mom was like, there were no chickens. I was like, Mom, that man was holding a chicken. And she was like, no, he was not. And then my foster sister Susan was like, yes, there was a chicken. That man walked off with a chicken. It was his pet. And I was like, oh, I remember crates of chickens. And she was like, that was not the airplane. That was the other side of the airport. I know where we were. It was the loading dock where they were putting chickens in a military plane. I know what I saw. Like, again, though, I'm 4. My mom's like, you don't remember nothing. I was like, I remember exactly where we were standing, exactly here. But back to, again, the traumatic intelligence and the reasons why we are, you know, the first video is based on the fact that there are 10 signs that you have traumatic intelligence, and again, it's considered negative. A lot of people would see it as negative. I feel like, as the gifted and the traumatic intelligence could easily be smushed together for a lot of autistic people, because again, you're capable of hyper focusing on a topic for 3 years, and just as much information as someone with their master's degree, because your hyper focus and your hyper vigilance causes you to go down rabbit holes that build and connect things that even, you know, tenure professors have never even decided to connect. And because of that, I got called out a lot in college by having one of the students say, uh, uh, I've been to Hawaii, and Hawaiians are grateful for the money that is spent there. And I said, no, they're not. If y'all would stop buying the properties, then we could actually live there. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, how much space needed for a 10 rise condo? Like, condo setup? Like, I don't think you realize that they have to cut down 15 blocks of shit for one 4-block condo space. And, Hawaii literally used to have to grow itself every 100 years. Hawaii grew 4 inches. And it hasn't been doing that because of I guess you would say, like, it's active and it's angry, but it's not growth. I mean, I don't know if y'all have seen Moana. That shit's real. The volcano will erupt. It will take down everything in its path, but it will create so much landmass. It is an island. And eventually, the joke is it's going to turn upside down. It's going to flop over like an iceberg. But I know a lot of people that go to Hawaii and they're like, wait, there's snow here? Dude, there's a mountain. It hits cold enough weather most times of the year for it. I live near Mount Shasta in the state of California. Yeah, that thing has snow on it just about all year round. So yeah, a mountain that's even taller than that will definitely have snow on it. Uh, but again, and so let's take that thought back, like of what people think of when they see a commercial or they see a travel ad. They don't think of what they don't see until they get there. And then, a lot of people get there and they're like have nothing but negative things to say. Oh, they were so rude. We walked onto the beach and like we weren't doing anything. We just sat down, like we walked around these ribbons. I'm like, oh, you mean they shut down the ocean because they're doing burials and y'all decided to go to the beach? Like, what? I said they were burying people in the water. They were literally doing ceremonies that allows the people's family members to rest with their ancestors. And the lady was like, well, they should set signs. As a lady, there's signs everywhere from June until October that there are burial sites for families where they are tribes of people where they do their burial sites. And our tribe does it off the side of cliffs, the same cliffs that you see people get on and get wiped away from waves. It's the same cliff that my family does. They do 15-story dives into the water from those same cliff tops. And that's what and they're in October. And the reason why it's June to October is because June, July, August, September, October, 5 months. There are 5 main tribes, and those 5 main tribes have their burials during the month of their tribe. And a lot of people don't know this. It's and I realized that I knew this as a kid, and I realized that I went to some of these funerals as a kid, but it didn't click in my head until I watched the Crook tribe, is who my children are a part of. They're natively a part of in the state of California, and until I saw a memorial float was probably the second year that I lived there. I finally got to actually go down and watch them float down the river and like pay my respects. And I was like, this reminds me of home. This reminds me of being Hawaiian. And like, so I went and got oleander flowers and started putting them in the water and everything. When my sister passed away, because my older sister decided to go soul destroying, like night terrors, PTSD, flashbacks, angry issues. And trust me, I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Chair. The night terrors that my kid is having is, again, we think traumatic intelligence. They've gotten their bio dad reached out and told him more information about him being sick, and they didn't really register it. You and me, Lee. You and me. um, but you have to understand that while Maui was burning down, everyone knew what was happening. Everybody knew what was happening. So, yeah, Mexico is not a good place to grow avocados anymore. So they need more high tropical. So she's already got like 400 acres of avocado plants, and she needs to keep growing them because right now avocados are $1 a avocado, and ripe or not, and it costs less than 12 cents to grow avocados, like a whole bush of them. So yeah, avocados are probably one of the highest, and plus it's all protein. So imagine how many vegans out there are buying $5 Oprah avocados. So yeah, I mean, money's only worth money until you don't have it, right? And property's only worth money until you again don't have it. So the rough world we live in, again, it's like I said, it's the hypervigilance. I'm 43 years old, which means I was 3 years old the very first time the largest tragedy ever hit the state of California. I was 6 weeks old when the worst earthquake happened in my small town. Like I've and having to know that like there were photos of buildings that were no longer even there, that had been completely and totally replaced. But seeing photos all over your small town, like you feel like you're in a movie scene because none of it looks the same, even though you know like this exactly where you're standing should be this malt shop, but no, now it's a pharmacy. And like stuff like that, like knowing that, knowing where the old post office was in my hometown, and then knowing that that post office is the same size as the small town that I moved out of. So the original post office would had to have grown 5 times from when I was a little kid to what it is now. Like that's how big my small town is. Like I remember lots and lots full of nothing but tumbleweeds and dry dirt. Stealthy, disorienting. So like think vertigo and water under your feet, if that makes any sense. And the earth itself physically feels like a wave of water, like you're riding a wave of water. Oh yeah, Lee. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. If you see, and they say I'm a conspiracy theorist when I think of this, but it's hard to believe when you can actually see it on maps, like topographical maps. But the state of California since 2016 has been purposely burnt down to create real estate. And mind you, high paying $1 million homes, because they are bluffs and because they are supposed to be in safe areas, and no they're not. So yeah. Stolzy, I've slept through earthquakes that most people would shite their pants doing, being a part of. So I've I've managed to I've managed to tell kids, like, woke me up while they're screaming, "It's an earthquake!" And I'm going, "Is stuff falling off the walls?" "No, you're fine." Like, stop. Like, I've been walking down the road and my legs felt like spaghetti noodles, and because it was an aftershock from an earthquake like 30 miles away, 40 miles away. But I did grow up 9 miles from an open like crevice in the San Andreas Fault. Like you could go to the crevice and look in the crevice and see the earth plates with flashlights. Of course, you can't just look down, it's all black abyss. But yeah, I lived close enough. Now you can't even go there. If you go there, you might actually crack the ground and fall in. The road has actually been cracked. The road that takes you to that open crack has actually cracked and they refuse to fix it. See, I love the rain. I do, but I know how just, oh, I've seen tsunamis. Like I've seen tsunamis living in Hawaii, like out in the middle of the ocean, and had the tide rise up like a foot and a half, maybe. Not anything crazy where it's like, holy shit, it's gonna take the island. But like I've seen tsunamis out, like, well, I mean, you guys have to understand in Hawaii, it's like you stare at the ocean and it's just like straight on until forever. So if it looks like a giant wave from, 100 miles away, it's a giant wave. So I'm seeing stuff like that. But to know that, like, my uncle lived in at one point in Tennessee and Nashville, I believe it was Nashville, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, there's Category 3 tornadoes in Tennessee," and I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm watching them right now." And I was like, "Where are you?" He saw the front yard. I'm like, "Uncle, why are you sitting outside while there's hurricanes?" He goes, "They're nowhere near us, but I can sure see him touching ground." I giggle at him. Him being someone, again, born and raised in the state of California and never really left. Yes. Yes, they are. Because they, again, just the weight of the world. Like, a lot of people tell me what was the worst, like, accident that I had, like, doing, like, X game shit, like BMX biking or, like, rollerblading or anything like that. And I was like, and they're like, "Oh, it was probably, like, hitting a ramp and then, like, hitting concrete, right?" And I was like, "No, hitting a ramp and then overshooting it and hitting the pool." And they're like, "Oh, but at least it was water." And I was like, "Bro, have you ever thrown yourself into liquid cement? Because that's what that shit feels like." Not only do you get the first interaction of being slammed into the water, but then your body is engulfed and then it feels like you're underneath cement all at the same time. Like, Yeah, no, water's no joke. I talk about that in my book. I need to start working on that script. Maybe I should start doing that. Oh yeah, I have to rewrite the acknowledgement for the Punchline and Panic book, which is this is all supposed to be about, by the way. So the Punchline and Panic book is about my neurodivergencies. And the only one that I chose not to write about, well, technically it's in the book, but it's not highlighted, is my giftedness. Because again, y'all can understand why somebody, who feels like you're calling them stupid because they don't have the knowledge to understand you talking. Um, like kindergartners, they're gonna be like punch you in the arm and call you stupid and run away. Um, so Lee very much so 100 a million times % understand where you come from with it. I feel like if I was just allowed to be my weird self, uh, I'd get like reported. Like someone would be like, this person is on not good things. And I'm tired of coping, like using coping skills to make other people feel welcome in my own safe space. Only once? Oh man. I used to jump off 30-foot cliffs, which was really dumb because Rollins Lake in Grass Valley is definitely empty. It's definitely not as full as I should have been. 6 foot tall, 16. Yeah, like I said, 30-foot cliff. Run about, I don't know, 10 yards, run 10 yards down a hill to launch myself far enough away from the side of the hill, because if the wind blew and sucked me back into the mountain, I was eating rock. But every time I hit the ground, you had to jump in the water with shoes on, because when I touched, my knees would bend. I would touch the ground and my knees would bend. So, but we counted it. That's where my cousin learned how to do backflips off a rope swing and broke his arm 3 times. Same arm, same spot, same cliff. That kid's been a daredevil his whole life. Um, and now pops Harleys he does wheelies on Harleys going 80 miles an hour down the freeway. Gotta love that kid. And I mean a kid. He's literally 10 years younger than me. 11 years. No. Oh my gosh. I had Benjamin when he was 4. 15 years older than that kid. I'm like, dude, you're old enough to be my child. But a lot of my experiences, again, like I said, with the giftedness, is because I've actually had I've actually sat down in rooms with people that, again, you would watch them on TV or you would hear their music and you would think, this fucker don't know anything about this. They don't know. There's no way that they could sit and have a whole conversation about that, and Peter, I think that has always been hi Peter, hope you're doing well. I think that has always been like the bonus that I got, is that I got to be in rooms with people. And again, I feel like that's morphed my like, I fangirl over normal people, aka normal people. I don't really fangirl over famous people because I've met a lot of famous people in that sense. Like, you're a person. Hi, I'm a person, type feeling. But I've had like full on conversations with celebrities and had no idea who the hell they were when I was talking to them. I was like, I don't know who you are. I don't listen to that music, or I don't watch that TV show, or, something like that. And then half the time they always walk away with, it's so refreshing to just talk to someone and like them not have any type of expectation of like the conversation. And I was like, oh, you're talking to a 16-year-old and they go, how old are you? Like, I'm 16. Thanks. You're really smart. Like, holy crap. And I'm like, dude, I was seriously in the library reading about this last week. And they're like, no, you weren't. And then I start quoting the book and they're like, oh shit, she was. Like, she's not lying. I was like, I have an eidetic memory. Like, I can tell you what I read 4 years ago. Seasonally, by the way. I have time blindness, so I don't necessarily remember dates, but I do know that I was born on Wednesday at 9:22 in the morning. And I was the only one of my parents' kids that was actually supposed to be born on the day that they got Mark. I thought you jumped out. Hope you're having a good time over there. So Lee, I'll do some introductions. Mark's Shed Talk there. He's restoring 100-year-old roller, steamroller. Cody, the Aussie Brawny 94. Cody does food reviews and sing lives, but YouTube's weird, so he wears his headphones when he sings because he doesn't want to get a from doing that. Stolzy doesn't do lives, but he does have an awkward video of him eating a Turkish delight that I love to watch every once in a while over and over, just because I know why he did it and it's hilarious. And then you have Peter. Peter does a lot. Like if you join Peter's Discord, you will see that I'm not kidding when I say Peter does a lot. But Peter does music. He hosts. It's a radio show, right? Oh, see, I knew you were editing. I was like, Mark's doing the smart things. He's hanging out while he's still doing the editing stuff. I'm so proud of you, Mark. I know the amount of patience that you need to do that editing, and I know you well enough to know that you've got it down to a science. Deviant, I don't know what you do. Like, I know you do things, but I don't know. I don't know if Deviant actually, like, I will honestly say I don't know if I've watched any of your videos. And then there's Charinator. Charinator Steven. Steven likes to play a Euro truck game and design all his trucks. And Steven also loves music. And he's the one who made my theme song, which you notice I didn't have up because I had it on TikTok Live Studio. That's the only one I've been able to get it to do it on. This one I have to pay for it. Nice to meet you all. I'm a carpenter. I build the world and destroy. Grok and debates as a hobby. I think Lee will fit great in the group, guys. Lee and I have been hanging out singing for a few months. Well, actually, I've only been on, I say a few months only because I was back on since March. So Lee is a great singer. Am I saying everybody who's in here? I feel like I'm missing somebody. Mark, Chair. I'm scrolling all the way back to the top because I was like, okay, it was Mark, Chair, Stolzy, Cody. Oh, I did say Cody. So Mark, Deviant, Cody, Stolzy, me, more me, Cody, and then it goes Chair. Yeah, I think I've introduced everybody. Oh, G was here for a second. No, G's probably working. G's probably very focused on getting his stuff done, or he's still on his mini vacay. So Mark lives in Queensland. They're all from Australia, Lee. So Mark lives in no, I don't know. Is Peter from Australia or is Peter from UK? I think Peter's from the UK. Peter, where are you from? I want to say that you're from the UK, but Peter could be from the United States. I don't know. Lee, I'm telling you right now, you would definitely fit in with the group because we all feel exactly the same way you do. I was still listening. Well, thank you, Miss Lawson. It's good to see you getting on here. Yeah, I saw the videos of the traumatic intelligence and the gifted one, and I was like, ooh, you're in Alabama? Ooh, I love Alabama. I want to go there because I want to sing in lounges. I think that I would have a lot of fun doing that. But no, I thought what was I saying? Okay, Peter is in Australia. Okay, I wasn't sure if Peter was in Australia. I think it's oh yeah, Peter's in Australia because the first time Peter was on live, who was it with him? It was Peter and oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. And he was all drunk and you guys were talking about conspiracy theories before they got on the live and he thought that everybody was still talking about them and he was talking Aussie, yes. Okay. So their lower region, there's Adelaide, well, technically Stolzy doesn't live in Stolzy, you live around Sydney, right? I'm trying to remember. I know where you guys don't live. Inside joke, Lee. Sorry. I met all these guys because I met another Australian dude on from a friend, well, a childhood friend that turned out to be very holy crap. What am I thinking? I'm realizing that hearing you and reading the comments. It's because I normally don't have the comments on the screen. I just happen to have, like I said, set all this up, got it all nice, and then totally forgot that I had it. And then I forgot that Restream updated itself. So like now you can actually do all this stuff without having to pay for it. Before I had to pay a lot of money to like not have Restream on, and well, more than I wanted to pay. And then now all the other ones are outrageous. I'm like, I'm good. I'll go back to Restream. I'm joining Cody. G and Stolzy are in South Australia. Yes. And then you're in Queensland. And then why do I think that Stolzy was not Northern. Cody's in Northern. Okay. That's what it is. So I was like, ooh, I think I got it backwards. For some reason, though, I thought Stolzy was closer. Oh, Stolzy is closer to Murmur. Sorry, Murmur is not who we don't talk about anymore. So I have my brother-in-law is, his whole family's from Adelaide. So he's like super Australian in that sense. I giggle about that. But I just say super Australian because his family all have thick accents, and my sister's like, sometimes it's hard to understand them, and I started laughing. And then Cherrynator, that's who else was in here. Cherrynator is from the UK. Like I said, he does the Euro trucks and he does music. He did my theme song. He helped me, I helped him. I say he helped me. I helped him write my theme song. And that was fun. A lot of fun, actually. Was just it's so weird. I haven't. How much do you pay for Restream? Nothing right now. This is the free version, and I didn't know, or maybe I've been paying for it this whole time and don't know. I hope I've been paying stinking Restream this whole time, but I'm pretty sure I have the free one. But I have all of the I should just show you guys. Like I have all the windows. Like I have the auto switch, where I can click over and like go and auto switch it to countdown. Like as soon as I click on whatever the one button, if it changed my timer to 10 minutes because I couldn't find my headphones. It's like a minute to find my headphones, and I was like, I'm not doing this. So I changed the timer to 10 minutes and like ran around. I even went outside. Like I'm pretty sure my neighbors are like, what the hell are you doing? But no, Lee, normally I'm up. I would sit up at this time from 2:30 until 8 in the morning or something like that. Yes. Everybody, that's what I love about these guys. They all have different hobbies and coming together and cracking jokes. Like the first, I think, year of me being on the panel was like, okay, teach me some new Australian words. Teach me what it is that Americans do that piss off Australians, so I know what not to do or whether I agree with it. Oh yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. I mean, like I said earlier in the stream, definitely would not bring back some of the people that aren't here anymore. But at the same time, I still miss it's not even like the camaraderie feeling. It was just like the holy crap. I just remember all the laughs. Like I remember just like going to sleep, still laughing about just the outrageous stuff that we would be talking about something, and then someone would pop in and say something, and not only would we just change the subject, but then it would just be a lot. Yes. Like it would just be, and it was like 5 hours. Like at first it was like, I don't think we're going to make it to an hour. And then it was like, okay, I have to end this live. It's already been 6 hours. We got to go. Like I have to end it. And a lot of it was because I had questions and I was curious. And I think that added to it. And Mark's great because Mark will be like, I found this new, this or that, you know, for the, like, he's tried out a different stream, like if it was helpful, like for him, and like he would mess with it. So that helped me because I'm so scared of clicking the wrong button or sharing something I'm not supposed to, like that kind of thing. Like I was so fearful because freaking somebody made me feel like copyrights and all that other stuff was like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily here to get monetized, but I am here to, you know, share my stories and make friends. So for Alabama, it's 7:40, and for me, it's 7:42. So for me, it's 4:42 because it's already. No wonder you're up, Lee. Like, that's why everybody see. I feel like if I moved to the East Coast, I'd just be hanging out with UK guys all the time. Because for where I'm at now, I hang out with all the Australia guys, and then I hang out with some New Zealand guys, singing group on like their talent group. Like they just get together and hang out and stuff in New Zealand, and they do like game nights and stuff like that, and I love it. Like they're playing. Oh, I'm always yawning, Peter. Oh, it's 6:43. Why did I think that? Oh, duh. So Lee's on this side of the line. I always forget that Alabama and Georgia are considered Midwest. So it's always sticking one line. My brain over here trying to think that the line follows the river, but yeah, we were talking about how crazy it would be for the time changes. Like if we didn't do time changes anymore, and like because Australia is where like the time changes first, right, guys? Because you guys are technically a whole half a day ahead of us, more than half a day. Like it's nighttime for them. They're getting settled in. Mark's drinking tea. Salty's probably having some snacks. Cody's definitely drinking a Pepsi Max with something in it. Rot Cody. Deviant is probably gonna go have a smoke. But yeah, no, like we all hang out. We should hang out with a lot more people. I just think that trying to get monetized on some of these apps kind of ruined some people. I feel like the ones that kind of fell out, like the monetization with Myrrh, was what made me not want to, push for content and stuff on here. But I'm on here finding content. I might as well be on here sharing it. Close. So, okay, yeah. New Zealand is first, you're right. So we were talking about if the time changed and like the time was the same no matter what. So whatever time it is there now, it would be that time here as well. Like no matter where the sun was in the sky. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could do that. Right, 1 hour east is literally 1 hour. That's so funny. Like you have to drive an hour to be an hour ahead of yourself. But technically, wouldn't that be two? No kidding. The hour you spent and then the hour you gained. That's so funny. What's the one guy? He's always ripping on us, the crocodile farm guy. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, you should see the picture Mark likes to show of the alligator on the roof. And I was like, or the crocodile or whatever on the, or no, it's an alligator. And I was like, no, you're not. You're kidding me. That is not. He's like, no, that's real. He's like, they will straight up, they will get up, but they don't know how to get down. Like most lizards can get up, but they don't know how to get down. So, they will just keep walking until they fall off. And I'm like, I did not realize that. Like, that makes sense though. Like their eyeballs lose focus. Like, what was it? There's this bird that has only one eye, so he can't see down. Like he can only see straight across. And so they were trying to get him, like he flew out of his enclosure, and he's done this like 4 or 5 times. And I swear it's always during like mating season when he sees the other birds around. So like, why would you do that? That time thing just blew my mind. Yeah. So imagine, like, if it's 4:47 a.m. right now, then it would be 4:47 a.m. everywhere. Like the time would never change. The clock would always be set to the exact same time no matter where you were. So even if you left and went to Australia and it took you 16 hours to get there, it would be still 16-hour difference. Like, I don't understand why it would take you 16 hours, but again, like, it would take you 16 hours. My question is, if I'm flying from California to the East Coast, you would think that the time would go backwards, not forward, but whatever. Try living in China, one time zone in the whole country, despite it being in three. Right, right. That's what they're trying to do here. Like, there's what, 3 states now in the central, the mountain time, sorry, in the mountain time that don't change their time at all. So, mind you, Lee, whatever time it is for Mark, certain times of the year, is 30 minutes behind G and Stolzy, but an hour behind or the same time as Cody, but they're in 3 different areas. Right? Am I right? Or is it an hour difference, Cody? Half an hour for you and an hour for G? Like, I swear that's like a thin line in between. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's like taking a pizza and cutting the lines wrong. That's where my brain is like, no, logic, fractions. Come on now, guys. Yeah, no, that's what in my brain it feels like that. But again, that's the United States for it, right? Oh, and I might as well stay up for another hour because I have to keep speaking of eyesight. If you hold down a chicken and draw a line, it gets mesmerized. That's so funny. That's funny. That whole, like, put a pug inside of a box of tape because the line on the ground is as tall as they are, no matter how small they are. Like, it's the same thing. Like, their eyesight's all funky because they're genetically modified that way. Oh goodness. Oh, I forgot about the shed dogs too. Mark has 2 pups. Max is always the one Max is the youngest one, and he's always so enthused to share his duck treats. Peter, we don't do dumb life savings time. Okay, that's what I thought. You're right. So Cody is an hour. But again, I think it's the South, right? And then Mark that are 30 minutes every once in a while. Like, all I know is that 2:30 is when I should 2 o'clock is when I should plan to be behind the computer between 2:30 and 3. Something's gonna start. Some panel's gonna be on. Right. The turkey syndrome. The whole gobble gobble. I love when I lived in the woods, I loved seeing like the grouse and stuff like that, and like telling my kids like that's a wild chicken, and they like watch the grouse and they're like, oh my gosh, they're so dumb. And I was like, yeah, like the reason why chickens seem smart to us is because we've domesticated them, but that's what the chickens would be. They'd be out there just scrambling from any noise they hear, like just running. That's exactly what it sounds like. What a grouse sounds like, because that's the noise they make when they're running. It's exactly the noise you would assume to hear coming out of that animal as it runs away. That's a grouse. My kid can do like bird sounds. And right now we're at the same time currently. See, so their daylight savings happens 30 minutes before us, and then the other one happens 30 days. Obviously, it's a 30-day difference. So if ours is in March, theirs is in February, April. And again, at a certain time, everybody started at exactly 3 o'clock for the longest time. Things started at 3 o'clock. And then 4 months later, 5 months later, I would have to switch it over to 30 minutes before that. So I was like, screw it, 2 o'clock. Yay! I think he has the first video he just posted. I don't know what it's saying that I did, but apparently I did something good on TikTok. Mm. Oh yeah, I'm not actually watching my live on TikTok. I'm only a spectator. I totally forget. I'm all trying to look at my time that I've been on there, and I'm like, obviously it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. But so the podcast scripts are going to be up soon. They will be again pre-recorded videos where if you want to listen, they're summaries, guys. They're not going to be the full chapters. Um, I will eventually be doing the full chapters, and they will be on here. Always. Okay. So that's say for some reason I thought it was an hour or half an hour in front of G and Salty, but you're right. It's your side. I'm so giggling like, and then I'm like, that's a whole other country. It's a whole other country. I'm totally confused. But yeah, I forget that half the states in, like I said, in the mountain region, there's like 5 states or whatever in the mountain region, and 3 of them, sorry guys, 3 of them don't even have time changes. So like they're like, it's 4 o'clock and completely dark outside. And I was like, you live in the mountains. Why wouldn't you guys add hours to your time? Like, screw you guys. We're gonna add extra hour to our time frame. We're gonna have 25 hours in the whole day because they you know what I mean? Like mountain time is like 6 hours of sunlight even in the summertime because you have mountains that surround you and block the sun. I just giggle. Like Mark when he came to visit, and the south side of the pass when you go into Tahoe, and like if you went through in February, March, you would see like a 25-30 foot sheet of snow that has just been basically turned into a gigantic screaming block of ice from being melted and refrozen and melted and refrozen. Yeah. Never say only white men will take 4 in off top a blanket. So he's bottom would say it's longer considering the time change thing. Yeah. Right. Gotta love that. We were just talking about like the whole idea of common sense and how like even if you were taught common sense as a kid, meaning I have difficulty reading, therefore I thought I saw it. I'm reading, I was like, I swear I saw that somewhere before. But the whole idea of like common sense, I don't necessarily think, and again, I found out that my understanding of common sense is a high intellectual understanding of common sense. So of course, obviously, people aren't going to notice those things. It's even harder though to have to explain it to my kids, like just because you're smart, because I was in college, like my kids were listening to me talk out equations for statistics and not be able to figure them out. I would come into my room and be like, Mom, we were just talking about that in math, and be able to walk me through. Right. And I think that's I think the hardest part. Like I grew up in a rural area where quote unquote common sense was just what people would call that manners, was common sense. And like now it's not even like, to me, the idea of having to make eye contact makes me want to die. Like it makes me want to just be like, I'm good. I'll just lay here. I'm part of the couch now. I don't want to stare you in the face. For one, being Hawaiian, you don't look a man in the eyes. You look at the ground, and especially if you're not a married woman, or if you are a married woman and it's not your husband. Like it's all about like traditional, like very much Japanese traditional, the way that I was raised. Right. My grandma is Hattori, so my grandma was raised very traditional, orthodox, Japanese. And so there was like, as a little kid, I remember walking to my grandma's house and taking off my shoes and bowing and then walking in the house. And my mom even asked me, like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. Grandma does it. Like 4 years old. Grandma does it. And she was like, "What?" And then I was like, next time my grandma walked through the door, like I pulled on my mom and I pointed, and my grandma did that. She took her shoes off and she bowed. So I did the same thing. Like, it's her house. I just do what she says. I do what she does. And my mom hated that about me, because my mom was like, "You're conforming," and my mom was, born in the early 60s, and hardcore injustice warrior, and now is coming to terms with her undiagnosed neurodivergency and stuff like that. But like, my mom didn't like about things about me because it was things that she refused to do. And so, of course, when I see my kids doing something that I refuse to do at their age, I'm laughing now, because I'm like, oh, if all I had to do was wash dishes all day, if all I had to do was load the dishwasher twice a day, are you kidding me? I didn't get to load a dishwasher. I had to wash those things by hand, and it was every damn dish in our house every day. 14 people, that's a respectable thing, right? Um, I just know that, again, back to the love your face stuff, and knowing that people are just individual people, and we all deserve a soapbox, but you can't live there. You can't sustain yourself on life standing on a soapbox and trying to scream common sense things to people who, again, like Peter says, is neither common or a sense. You have to change your perspective of standing on that soapbox and saying, "Hey, hi, I like this. Hey, I like that. Hey, I like this." And then you will find your random bunch of Australians that I have. But really, it was because I really do love trains. I love the idea of them. I love how loud and scary they can be sometimes, but it's exciting in that sense. Like, I would, I would say that, like, most adrenaline junkies' love for roller coasters is my love for trains. My love for all things mechanical that move, because physics plainly states half of what actually moves shouldn't actually move. I was taught as a man, you look everyone in the eyes because of honesty, and it's an intimidating thing to do. Right, right. So because of that, though, being a girl and me being 6 foot tall, and my dad being raised by my grandma and not my grandpa, the way she taught my dad was the way that her dad taught her brothers. So she didn't. Oh, I get it, honestly. And I did the same thing, right? So I did, like, people would tell me all the time, like, look me in the eyes when you're talking to me, because I want to know that you're telling me the truth. And I would go, okay, and I would stare so deep into their eyes while I was talking that they'd be like, okay, you can stop staring at me now. I'm like, you asked for my soul and I'm giving it to you. Just don't ask. And my dad knew, my foster dad knew, that if I wasn't looking at him, he knew I was paying attention to what he wanted trying to show me. Like, I'm not just an audio learner, I'm a visual learner. So I need kinetic in that sense. I need to be physically moving for something to stick in my brain. My foster dad realized that if he spun me around in circles on my finger while I was telling me what to do, I could remember all 3 steps of what he asked me to do. But I couldn't remember if he made me sit there and stare at him. So I had some people in my life that figured out me and figured out, if you make it a game instead of do this or blah, 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 I didn't care who you were. I told people straight to their face, I don't care if you're my mom or the Pope. I will tell you to eat shite if I feel like what you're saying doesn't make sense. I don't, and my mom would tell you, yep, she ain't lying. I've always been that kind of way. Like, you could logic some of the worst possible things in the whole wide world. I think that's why I want to go into behavioral analysts, is because there are some of the most well-rounded human beings that have a sociopathic break, in their understanding, and go out and do not okay things to other human beings. And then there's people who are raised to believe that that's in their brain, the way that you do things. You being 6 foot, if you look down, you'd be looking me in the eyes. I'm 5'7". Yeah, but I've never, because I'm 6 foot tall, I've never actually, I don't stand up straight like I'm supposed to. Not because of my car accident or anything like that, but because again, being 6 foot tall, it's hard to not be intimidating. When again, you're not making actual eye contact with people, you're looking through them because you're trying to notice your surroundings. A lot of people didn't like that either. They felt like I was being disrespectful. I'm like, bro, you're standing in my way. I can't tell if there's an exit behind you. Oh, there's not. Okay, thank you. And then I would turn around, like, people would give me the dirtiest look these days. And I will look at them and go, oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't looking at you. I was looking at what's behind you. What's going on over there? And they'll turn around and go, oh, that is pretty interesting. I said, yeah, thanks. That's why I look interested, not at you, but what's behind you. Like, now I don't even try. And normally that's just with old people. I won't even, if I see a 20-year-old looking at me like I'm stupid, I'm like, I'm stupid. And I walk away. Like, you're a brick wall. There ain't no point in arguing with you for another 15 years. I will come back when you're in your 30s and you've had life slap you around a few times. Then I will have a conversation with you. But I make jokes that Ryan's an 80-year-old man and that he goes to bed early and he's about the way life is and things like that. And I have a skewed understanding of life because, being a teacher and being a kid teacher, like I taught preschool kids, and I don't think anyone understands how easy a 3 and a 4-year-old can logic you into believing that what they are saying is true. And they believe it. And you go, really? Is that what you think, or is that what your mom thinks? Well, it's what my mom says. I said, well, what do you think? And I'll look on their eyeballs when they go, wait a minute, I have a brain and my brain is thinking right now. And oh my gosh, you've activated some part of me that no longer wants to be a little a-hole. It's great to see those kids in public, but it's not the worst part about being in that small town for me. And I know it would be the same in my hometown, is that I've common sense enough of those people in public to humiliate them, and they pick on my kids because they think that that's funny, and they think that I won't get in their face in public and tell them. The cops already know me. They know where I live. They know how to find me. They know where I will gleefully walk up to them and wait for them to put on my new shiny bracelets. Do not talk to my child that way. I don't care what you think. That is not your child. You have something to say to my child, you come talk to me, and we will have a civil conversation. Now, when you step to my child, because my child is 6'4", 6'5", whatever, and you think that my child looks like a man, you're going to talk to my child like he is a man? No, you're going to talk to me, And I think that's where the common sense lacks. I think that's the hard part. I think there are a bunch of entitled children running around these days that feel like because they have a cell phone and their parents didn't, that they, can run the world. And if I turned off the air conditioner or the Wi-Fi or wrote in cursive, every freaking kid around me under the age of 19, except for mine, will not know what the fuck to do. My kids know how to read cursive. They know how to write in cursive. It is something that I taught them because the Declaration of Independence is written in sign language, or in sign language, might as well be. It's written in cursive. So if I want my kids to be able to read something, they're going to be able to read it. Like, I don't, and again, that's, my kid wanted to learn cursive. My kid thought, oh, my grandma writes in cursive and it's beautiful. I want to learn how to write that way. Do I write in cursive? Sometimes my handwriting looks like cursive. I like to have spatial awareness, escape routes mapped out. Yes, 100%. That's that hypervigilance that we were talking about. That's the constantly needing to know what safety is. And plus, I've been trained to do so. Like, if you've been in the military or you've been in any type of like search and rescue, that's where I learned mine, was being a part of the search and rescue stuff, and being able to know who you need to worry about when they walk in the door. Half the time I won't even look at a person's face. I'm checking their pockets and their waistbands and their ankles before they walk in the door, because I was born and raised in a community where everybody was strapped for whatever reason they were strapped for. And again, just because you have a weapon doesn't necessarily mean that you're a dangerous person. Now, you start acting like a dangerous person and you have a weapon, of course I'm not going to want to be near you. That just, in my brain, makes sense. I feel like the United States, we've cancer cultured freaking everything, that there's always going to be, I said this earlier today, I was raised with militaristic mindsets. Yes. I mean, you're born and raised in Alabama. I'm guessing that makes sense. Not in a stereotypical way. I mean, literally, like you guys are, because of the hurricane stuff too. I'm sure you guys are half the time no power, no water. No drinkable water. No potable water or anything like that. So you're constantly having to fend for yourselves, waiting for FEMA. I know how that feels. But no, I get stuck in the in the in the let me educate you, and or I'm just going to be petty. And a lot of times I don't have the patience for it. And I feel bad sometimes that I don't have the patience. Like, I'm like, man, I kind of like you. I kind of should grow patience right now, and like a little bit of grace and understanding. And then I go, oh wait, you're 29. Yeah, this will happen again. I'm good. Yeah. And this is all based on I don't do well in groups socially. See, I feel like I can be okay in a group socially, but I'm not as talkative. I'm not as born in Georgia, raised in the South. And yes, we have to be self-reliant. Yes, yes. I have I have to deal with being underestimated all the time. Living in a happy camp for 20 years, I had to be able to cut my own wood, start my own fire, dispose of my own trash. We didn't have trash man come pick up our stuff. We couldn't afford it. I'm living in the city right now, and the amount of money that man charges to take my trash to the same dump I could do it is $30 more a month than what I pay here. And I get my trash taken in 3 different dumpsters every week, and it costs a third, almost a third, or a little over a third of what it costs to live up there once a month or once a week, whatever, to have your stuff done. It's $33 a week, I believe, what the rate was to have your trash. And it doesn't matter how much trash. If you have too much trash, he won't touch it, and he'll still charge you. That's the worst part about living in the middle of nowhere and in a small town like that. And then have the same person sit and beg for more money on the ballot. Oh yeah, you should see the brand new property he's rebuilding. But again, the fire happened up there, so all the Red Cross FEMA money's been paid out. So the small town that I used to live in that couldn't keep a baseball team for the little kids because nobody had money to donate is now 80% crime rate of the county is out of that city alone. And it's not even a city. It's literally it has a post office because it has to. It has a post office because it has to, because it is a federal hub for the Forest Service, the USFS. So they have a post office and everything, and they don't even have a bar. They have 3 bars in town, and every one of them are at somebody's house where you have to pay them to drink beer they bought from the store, because the store closes at a certain time. If you want a beer, you can't get one. You got to buy it off someone. That person no longer lives there, thank God, but they sold the property and they opened up a bar. And so there's underage drinking, all that, middle of nowhere, small town, stuff that happens in small towns. But it's pretty crazy up there. It's very much not what the rumors are about it. If you were to look up the history of it, it's definitely not that anymore. But it's definitely was. I mean, I thought I could just live anywhere, but nope, apparently I can't. I can't just live anywhere. I mean, it would have been great to live there. Yes, Lee, 100%. 1-on-1 is fine. 1-on-2 is okay. 3 people. Then I'm that guy in the corner mumbling to myself, wanting to go home. Yes, Peter. Ooh, yes. When I have to, that's the hardest part. Like, I think Lee can finally hear it now. When I have to perform, I don't want to. I have oppositional defiance disorder. I know I signed up to sing, but I don't want to now because now I have to sing and I don't want to sing. And that's where I am right now with my immersion therapy. My doctors making me go out once a week and be around public and talk to people who walk up to me and be nice to them. And I'm like, bro, some of these people walk up to me to give me advice that I don't need. And oh dear Jesus Christ, I am over it. But no, then they're they're super rude about it. Like I'm not out there to sing for the tips. Yes, the tips help. Yes, the tip covers the gas prices to get me here once a week. But it's the interacting with the people that I have the best time with. Like the irony in it, like the tips I get, the denomination of the tip, the longer they stand there and talk to me. So it's like, okay, you're paying me for my time. Sure, why not? Because I stopped singing and I stopped doing what I'm doing to talk to them and everything. And so, I feel appreciation for that. But this place wants me to start singing there because my husband's getting a new job. And this place is going to try to offer me to sing there. And they want to pay me $300 to sing for 3 hours. To have people yell things at me like requests. And I'm going, I don't know about that. I don't know how I could deal with being in a bar and grill type situation. Like it's different going to the bar to sing karaoke because I make my husband go with me, even though last time he was falling asleep. I make him go with me so that I'm not alone because I don't like to be alone when I'm in public. I fear that I will. I'm sorry, let's reframe that. I have manhandled men bigger than me for grabbing onto parts of my body they didn't have no right to be grabbing on. and 4-inch heels. Yes, I might have been dressed provocatively, but that does not mean that you need to put your hands on my body. And just because my friends are running around, do you not see the giant rock on my finger? I am very happily married. I am not in this bar. If this is the type of bar this is, which is what ends up happening, especially in small towns. I was the bartender in that damn place. I know exactly the dirty, gross secrets that I don't want to know about some people. And it's like, I guess it's like when you concentrate lack of nothing, like no, there's nothing like family. Yes. Ooh, we were just talking about that. About as like a whole, I would have to say that yes, I'm proud to be an American in the sense of the America that's forgotten, like the America that's ignored and bowled over. I'm proud to be one of those guys that are still a cog in the machine because eventually something will break and we'll all be released from the damn cog as a cog. But point being, I do it more research based. I don't necessarily people because I have to. I people because of hyper focusing, like a hobby, or an interest. I spoke to a total stranger for half an hour when I was shopping. Absolutely fine. Until someone else wanted to join us, couldn't get out of there fast. Right? I will start talking to somebody and I feel like my grandpa a lot. Like my grandpa would feel like he just stopped the conversation midway. No, it was my mom was calling or one of my cousins walked up and he was like, I don't have time and patience to wait for you to stop talking so I can finish talking. Even though I would be like, hey, I'm talking to grandpa. Go ahead, grandpa. And then he would finish. But that was why my grandpa would teach me things because I would tell other people to shut up for him. Because and I was the only grandkid that was not always America, right? I was a grandkid. I was always the grandkid who was like, grandpa, I went and got goodies and I saw your goodies that you like, so I bought you some. And he was like, you bought me goodies? And I was like, grandpa, you always buy me goodies. And he was like, I love you. And he hugged me. And I was like, what the hell's that about? And my mom walks in and goes, oh, your cousins were just here. They asked for $1,000 to go on some whatever thing. And he agreed to only give them a third because their mom can give them some and their dad can give them the rest. And I was like, oh, grandpa, I'm eating all these goodies. I'm taking them home with me now. And he goes, don't you put my goodies down. It was those, I don't know if y'all know American cuisine and all, but it is the Oh my God, they're the bear claws, right? The literal barely any freaking pastry with the cinnamon, the sugar, and it cut out looking like a bear claw. It wasn't an actual homemade bear claw. You and me both, Mark. I think they've released all they're going to. Come on now. If you think back to when we all found out about Area 51, that's how much information we're getting, Mark. Just so you know. Or better yet, all the information. So we'll stop talking about the other files. I mean, I as an American am very upset with my media, the media coverage, and the things that are going on in the world when it comes to legacy media. Because when I was a little kid, they just straight lied to our faces. They hid everything. They literally NDA'd everyone. They kept everyone hush hush, shut the hell up, or got rid of you so that no information would be shared. Now, I'm not begging for shit like that. We hardly get always giving what you did was so wonderful. It healed his soul. Awesome. Great. Right. My grandpa loved the shit out of me. He didn't want to live with cancer. So April 2nd is his bye-bye date. But yeah, my grandpa was the most honorary Portuguese man I will ever meet. They were rejected. My question is, are they gonna just, I know this is Mark's question, when are they just gonna admit, hopefully they finally release it. I'm telling you, Lee, they're not going to. Because then they would have to actually admit that they are in cahoot with a higher understanding, and that's where most of our technology came from, and that's where a lot of our influences come from, is because they're why they made Independence Day the movie to begin with, was because they were trying to come and talk to us a lot sooner than they are now. Right, Mark? Because they don't want us as humans to know that we've been a petri dish experiment for some other race of people. Another race of people who have obviously been here before, took some shit and left and came back, took some shit and left and came back. I mean, we as the human race, or whatever you want to call us, the walking batteries that I feel like we are just showing them what you can and cannot do. If for any reason whatsoever this is a master race of autistic people, I'm gonna laugh my ass off. That's all I'm saying. Because it totally makes sense to an autistic person like me to shove a bunch of people in a building like the Big Brother house and find out what makes humans tick. Right. That again would be my indigenous understanding of that, would be not necessarily the pagan gods in that sense, but yes, I do believe that they have quote unquote superpowers. And again, that would be the great understanding of, civilization now and autistic people, is that somehow we've unlocked parts of our brains that should have not developed past 2, 3, 4 years old. Things like, oh, look, that's a blah, blah, blah. How do you know the species of that animal that just went by? Oh, because I like animals. Like, you shouldn't be able to remember all of this information and still be able to walk a straight line. Or like me, tie your stinking shoes. Half the time I don't have the energy to tie my shoes. And then I found out it's because of my joint pain in my fingers. Oh no, guys, I'm going to turn my camera back on. I got 10 minutes. As much as I would love to say, I could say I'm tapped forever. Every one of these guys on here knows that I can. I have to get off in the 10 minutes because I have to wake the kids up for school. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'm gonna try and start doing more of these lives. Brian's schedule will change. So I will have 7 p.m. Eastern time. You know where my brain's at right now, making ads for other people. But 7 p.m. Fridays, my time, Pacific time. But I'm thinking about switching it until later, till like this time, 2 to 5:30, because I can always just take a nap in the daytime when Brian's at work, because again, he works 8 to 5. And I can always get up with the kid, be up with the kids, go to a few of my doctor appointments, I have a doctor appointment today. That's the reason I didn't sleep too. Mwah. You're welcome, Mark. Of course I love getting on here, and I love chatting. And again, I had to get on here because that video, I was just like, I need to make sense of this video and I need to have it for the podcast because I know that I'm going to end up talking about my giftedness stuff. And I'm going to be like, what was that video? Where did I put it? So I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to share it in here, the stinking links and everything. And then I will be able to find them for when I sit down and do the other stuff. But the script reads are going to start. I'm going to start summarizing the script. So it's okay. So you know how you guys watch Netflix, and all of a sudden on Netflix, love to see you again. That's all saying YouTube, Cody. Um, but so you guys go and watch your shows on TV, and then like at the beginning of the next episode, it's like the recap. So that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to pre-record all the videos. Um, they'll be available for some, because I would love some peer feedback on a few to make sure that they sound right. Oh, because if they sound too brainy, if that makes any sense, guys. I tried not to. I tried not to have them too brainy, but that I'm kind of worried that this is a little bit too morbidly funny, and that I don't want to piss anybody off or hurt anybody's feelings. So I care about you guys, so I want to, double check that. But I'll have those pre-recorded and ready to go, so it'll be the intro, it'll be the theme song, and then the what you missed, last chapter that we'll do, and then I'm gonna start doing the actual audio reads of the chapters, so that I can even use sound bites from that in the live panels, because again, I don't expect everybody to read this book, but I do want people to understand what topic we're talking about for the chapter, so kind of have something like that popped up there for you. But I am going to go because I have less than 5 minutes and I need to go potty before then. I love you guys. Mwah, mwah. Thanks for hanging out. Lee, I'm sure I will see you later. Oh, Mandy. Of course, I'm on YouTube. I just barely even noticed that you were on here, and she's already gone. She's probably getting off Twitch right now because she plays Call of Duty. So if you guys like to play video games, let me know. I have a bunch of friends. Don't dumb stuff down. Only dummies will enjoy it. Well, the summaries are a lot of information. So it's like research and like personal story put together. That's what I mean by it. I want it to sound okay, and I don't want somebody to be offended because like me and my grandpa made jokes about him self-exiting because of his cancer, and how like I wouldn't blame him. And he was like, seriously? And I was like, yeah, I totally wouldn't blame you. And then we had full-on conversations about my depression and how worried he was for me. And I was like, Grandpa, I will totally make it. Like, I'm all out of spite, 100% out of spite. But thank you, Peter. Thank you for the permission to not dumb myself down. I appreciate that. Not everybody wants to give that permission. But I love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I've hit my time. I'd stay forever and chit chat, but mwah, mwah. I'm going to hit the 30-second countdown in the live. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love your faces. All the hand hearts, all the wonderfulness. Here's me giving you guys the biggest giant hug in the whole wide world. I hope you guys have a great evening, or for Mr. Lee, a good morning. And again, I will probably see you later today for karaoke. I just have a doctor's appointment I have to go to that I don't want to go to, but I have to. Love you guys. I know you are, Peter. That's why I do love your Discord.